For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber. Instant analysis of USC's 28-23 victory over UCLA. It was a big day today, not only a cross-town showdown, but it was senior night, and USC came out victorious. Clay Helton is now 16-0 in the Coliseum, and now USC gets to go to their precious bye week at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think they're pretty happy about that. I think, who was it, Iman Marshall said he thinks he's going to sleep for 2 weeks now. I don't think they're not going to quite have that much time off, but they're going to get a lot of time off. So, and I think Chris Hawkins had, as he often does, the good line. He said, the good thing about that is we're going to get our bye. And he said, we didn't complain about not having one, and everybody else did. And now I'll guarantee you they'll be complaining. Whoever USC plays, Washington State or Stanford, will not get a bye. And might even be playing on a short week, depending on, I think if it's Stanford, they would be playing Notre Dame the Saturday before, so they would only get 6 days. Washington State plays Washington on the Friday before, so they would get a whole week. But Chris was right on that. He said they'll be complaining, and he said we didn't, so I feel good about that.
Mm-hmm. I think it was a closer score than people probably would have predicted, given UCLA's defense. But they kept it in there. Chris Hawkins said that Josh Rosen is the best quarterback he's faced in a game. Make sure he didn't insult Sam Darnold there. But he said that this was a tough team that played well today.
I thought Josh Rosen looked awfully good. I was real impressed with him. With a really finished product, he could be awfully good. They've lost a lot of their receivers, but. A very impressive effort by him. Very impressive effort by UCLA. I just thought they looked extremely well prepared, except for the one trick play, the game-deciding play. Otherwise, you got to give UCLA credit. They ran a defense that Nico Velus said we hadn't seen anywhere on film. That was something that we had not seen. They outnumbered us, made it really tough. Starting. As far as the run's concerned, and give UCLA all the credit in the world. I mean they're the worst team in the country against the run. I mean they're giving up 300 yards regularly, and that did not look like that team tonight. I thought they played very well.
Mm-hmm. I caught up with Ronald Jones after the game. He said he was disappointed that he didn't pass O.J. Simpson for USC's all-time rusher list. He said that they didn't see anything different from UCLA that they saw on film. Is it concerning given that UCLA almost averaged 300 yards rushing, and Rojo didn't get that at all? Get a large portion of that?
And what else is a little concerning is Nico said they're doing something we never saw, and Rojo is saying they weren't doing anything differently, which makes you wonder, did they really understand what exactly UCLA was doing out there? It didn't look like you had any confidence that USC is absolutely going to be able to run the ball in short yardage, and very often they weren't, and they had difficulty on the first and second down, so that made their third down conversions. They did not do a good job converting on third downs, and fourth down. Now you're in a situation, fourth and short, where UCLA or USC hasn't done all that well either. So it was a struggle. This was not an easy night for anybody on this USC offense. This didn't come easily. 28 points. UCLA has lost all 6 games on the road this year, but the first 5 coming in here, they were allowing 49 points a game. Tonight, 28. That's probably on USC a little bit.
At this point, do we just have to accept that this is who USC is? I mean, this seems to be a recurring theme, and we're at the end of the regular season. Do we just accept that this is who they are?
Yeah, they really are. They are who they are. They are. We've said this before. They are how they play, and this is how they play. They're going to do some things that you just love and are excited and fun, and you got to be especially talented and tough-minded and all of that to do some of this stuff. And they're going to do, they're going to commit penalties. They're going to make mistakes that you just say, what in the world could they have been thinking? They're going to call plays, and you're going to say, they called that play? Are you kidding me? This is kind of who they are. I don't know that we should probably expect anything else. I just think this is a team that, had you decided Now, we won't recommend people that go out and, bet games, but if you decided to bet every game USC played this year and you took the other team and the points, you would have made an extremely large amount of money if you'd have just left the money in the pot and just keep betting it week after week. You'd be a wealthy person right now.
To dive deeper into a play you already mentioned, that fake punt return was just spectacular. We saw USC practicing it during the week. Multiple players said that they practiced it all season long. They just didn't know when to use it. Some players said that they specifically used it for UCLA. So we got some mixed stories on that play, but it was spectacular to watch.
Yeah, I was watching the ball, and I'm thinking, I must not be seeing things because everybody's running to the left side. And I'm thinking, is the ball really going to the right side? And then, yeah, darn, if Michael Pittman doesn't get it, he's almost out of bounds, and he's running down the sideline, and you're thinking, really? Everybody went, and it worked perfectly. I mean, now, you have to be lucky in one way. The punter has to kick the ball in a way that his players do not believe it's going where it was supposed to go. Because I got to think the ball was supposed to go to the right. And they just saw Ajene. He had to act like he wasn't fair catching it, but he had to act like he was catching it. But if he got his hands above his head, play's over. That's not anybody on the field that calls a fair catch. So he had to really act like I'm catching the ball. And everybody had to run down. The USC players had to run with the guys that were covering the play from UCLA and act as if those guys were beating them to the spot. And like Chris Hawkins said, I didn't even have to block my man. As long as I saw him going over to where Ajene was, I said I was fine. So they literally all ran to where Ajene was except the poor punter because he knew where he kicked the ball. And he's running to the sideline, and he's the only guy Michael Pittman had to go around. And he's this, kind of a little guy. And I don't know that I've seen it work quite that well ever anywhere. So, John Baxter said they watched a lot of film. I said, how did you know, though, that he might kick it that way? He said, you just have to, he said, it's not a crystal ball. So I guess his reputation is he doesn't always kick it where he's supposed to. So his own cover guys were able to believe that even though he was probably supposed to kick it where he kicked it, they were able to believe he didn't kick it there and thought, oh, it's that way, so they all went that way. I don't think I've ever seen that play work in person, but that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, we asked Ajene what he thought when he saw defenders running to him, and he said, oh, they bought it. So it's kind of funny that was the part that USC, you could argue, outsmarted their opponent, and that ended up being the difference maker in this game.
Yeah, Ajene said, I kept my role. I said, could you tell the ball was going to Pittman? And he said, I could see it peripherally, but he said, I didn't want to be looking at it because I was trying to, he almost sounded like he was, an acting major, because he said, I was trying to, maintain my role and keep the charade going. So he kept really working it, like, here comes the ball, and here I'm going to, do. I mean, you got to give him credit. Ajene doesn't come off as somebody who would be able to pull off that kind of acting role, but boy, he did.
Mm-hmm. As far as injuries go, USC's a little banged up coming out of this game. Rasheem Green kind of stopped halfway through the third quarter because his shoulder injury that he was rehabbing this week bothered him enough where he had to stop. Reed Budrovich, the punter, had an AC joint sprain in his shoulder because one of the hits that he made during this game. And then Velus Jones had a left ankle sprain, I believe, that he suffered in the first quarter. And then Chris Brown had his back leg acted up on him. I talked to him after the game, and he said that it's not a structural thing. It's not bone. It's just the muscles. It's day to day. He just has to work through it. But it looked bad because he had to be carted off the field after the game. He couldn't even walk to the locker room. So that's something to watch out for. But credit to Roy Hemsley. He came in and he played well once Chris Brown went down.
Well, I credit him this. I mean, this is the first time he's ever lined up next to Nico Falla, ever. Yeah. So they ran two plays at the goal line. Basically, they ran the touchdown play right between him and Nico. So that's, he's in seventh heaven. I mean, Roy is just so excited. And a big, strong kid. Looks like he ought to be able to play. Another one of those maybe situations where you just don't quite get that rotation going, for USC. But So that may be, the kind of plus that you can take out of this game, and having the extra week now for every one of those guys to rehab and be back, I think is really really big for this USC team. They will definitely take the bye this week.
Yeah, the players are very excited to have that bye. It sounds like from the scheduling, they're going to have a lighter week next week, not too much, especially with Thanksgiving. How important for how banged up this team is this bye?
Yeah, I think as much as the banged up part of it, I just think the grind, and I think they all talked about, none of them can remember that we're talking about it, playing 12 straight games, 12 straight weeks. Yeah. So I think the mental wear and tear is as much as the physical. So I think they were going to be light. I think they're even going to be lighter now. They're just not going to. They're not going to do a lot this coming week. And this guy, obviously it gives them a chance to be home for Thanksgiving. Gives them a chance to watch all those football games on Friday and Saturday. They're going to determine what happens with them, and that's kind of the kind of breather that these guys are going to love. They're already talking about it, which is why it was so important to get out of here with a W. I know everybody's, said that's all that matters. That isn't all that matters, but it matters more than anything to come out of here without a loss. So, a loss tonight would have been just devastating. I mean, it would have been for the whole season. A loss tonight would have been almost something you couldn't overcome, no matter whatever happens the rest of the way. By winning this, however they did it, it allows them to, move on, and they keep it going. It may not always be pretty, but they'll take the W.
Like I said earlier, USC is undefeated at the Coliseum for this season, also last season. But this is the last time we're going to see the Coliseum as it is. I mean, the renovations are going to start in this offseason. So if you were here, you're seeing the Coliseum for the last time as it will be.
Yeah, it may never have another crowd of 82,000. We don't know how the Rams playoffs are going to go and what the numbers would be there, but this could be, the last ever, crowd of, and you kind of wish it would have been the 92,000 capacity crowd, but 82,000 looked good in here, and this could be, historic in terms of it may never look like this again.
Mm-hmm. Going forward, Pac-12 Championship, any pre-thoughts about that heading into that in the next 2 weeks?
I don't know. In one way you think you'd like to get the revenge game against Washington State, but they do throw the ball really well. And the more you watch the struggles of this USC secondary, you almost wonder, whereas Stanford doesn't throw the ball that well. Obviously, they've got the big win over Stanford, and Stanford's kind of a home team in that environment. You could come up with reasons why you'd like to play either one of those. Washington was eliminated tonight because Cal lost to Stanford, so it's going to be either Washington State or Stanford. You can make the case, the scenario for both. I don't know. I can make a case for each team why you would want to play them. I'm not sure I can absolutely make the case, other than the chance to erase your one loss, which was Washington State. So that may be the tiebreaker if you had to decide who would you want. You could eliminate the one of the two teams that beat you, and I might go that route.
All right, that's going to wrap it up from the Coliseum. We probably won't see you until 2 weeks from now. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone watching. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out USCfootball.com.